In this lesson, we will look at how we can efficiently solve problems involving percents. We're going to use what's called the percent proportion, and this proportion uses keywords from our questions and our problems to help us set up our work correctly. We'll be looking for the keywords is, of, and percent. Is will indicate what number represents the part of our whole. Of will indicate what number is the whole, and then of course we know percent compares to 100. So please make sure you write this down as you see it and refer to it as we're going through the examples today. Our first question asks us, what is 25% of 40? So we can already hear those key words. There we go. Here's our percent of 40. Okay, so we know if we set up our proportion, we already know our percent. Of 40 tells us that 40 is the whole, and the is the thing we're being asked to find. So we'll use a variable to represent that missing value while we do our calculations. Now, because there's not a whole number factor between 40 and 100, it might not be very easy to see what factor you should be using. So it might be beneficial to simplify that 25 hundredths to 1/4. So now we can see that there's a direct relationship between 4 and 40. We know that if we multiply 4 times 10, we get 40. So we'll do that same thing to our top number to find out that 10 is 25% of 40. The second example asks us what is 24% of 200. So we'll set up our percent proportion. We know the percent. Of tells us that 200 is the whole. And we're being asked what is. So we're looking for the is. We're looking for the part at this point. And it's easy to see a direct relationship here. We know that 100 times 2 gives us 200. So we'll multiply our 24 times 2. And that tells us that 48 is 24% of 200. In the next two examples, we're going to set things up a little differently because we are being asked about the whole. So the next question says 60 is 20% of what number? Okay, so now we know the is. This time we know that the part. We're going to look for the whole, and we know that we're looking at 20% of something. Okay, so now I can see that to get from 20 to 60, I would multiply by 3. So I'm going to do that to the denominator. And I know that x is 300. So 60 is 20% of 300. In our next example, 56 is 25% of what number? 56 is the part. We're looking for the whole. And we know that that is 25%. Okay, I don't see a whole number factor to get me from 25 to 56, so it's helpful to simplify. So we'll look at 56 compared to x, and then we'll use the ratio of 1/4. Well, now we can see that we just need to multiply by 56 because 1 times 56 is 56. So we'll do that to the 4 as well. And that tells us that x is 224. So 56 is 25% of 224. In this example, we're told about Adam, who ran 7 out of 10 days, and we're asked what was the percentage of days he ran. We can still use that percent proportion to help us set up, but this time the missing information is the percent. So we can look over here and we know that we're looking at 10 days total, 7 out of 10 days. We're missing the percent, and we know percent's always compared to 100. So we're doing the same thing now. We're looking for relationships. We know to get from 10 to 100, we need to multiply by 10. So we'll do that same thing up here. And we know that Adam ran 70% of the days. In this example, Gwen has made 12 of 40 free throw shots, and we're asked what was the percentage of shots she made. So we're missing the percentage again. So we'll go ahead and put that X over 100. We know that she made 12 of 40. And there again, there's not a whole number of factors, so it might be difficult for you to see what you would multiply by. So we can do a little simplifying, and we can simplify that to 3/10. We use a factor of 4. And we know that, again, that to get from 10 to 100, we'd multiply by 10. So we'll do the same thing up here. So we know that Gwen made 30% of her free throws. All right, in the last example for this lesson, Phil is collecting state quarters. He has 42 of 50 quarters. What is the percentage of quarters he still needs? So we have to read carefully. We know we're looking for a percentage, but it's the percentage that he still needs. He has 42 of 50, so let's look at what he's missing. So 50 minus 42 leaves 8. He has 8 quarters left to find. So our percent proportion means we're looking at 8 of 50, and that is equal to some percent. That compares to 100. So we're going to multiply 50 times 2 to get to 100. So we'll do the same thing up here. So we know that Phil is still missing 16% of the quarters that he needs for his collection. Please be sure you've taken thorough notes and that you remember to answer the WSQ, and we will do some follow-up practice in class. Thank you.